Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. So, I'm in the process of making some poppets. I figured it would be a good opportunity to make a video about poppets and how they're made, why we make them, all that stuff. So, first off, a poppet is the same as what people think of as voodoo dolls. In this case, a generally human-shaped material constructed, and then you fill it with certain things. I'm making healing poppets. When the Westerners first saw voodoo dolls with their pins in them, we think of pins as being painful. But as far as I understand it, traditionally, the pins were put into the dolls in order to release blockages, illnesses, spirits that were harassing the individual, whatever it was that they were trying to work with. And of course, we turned it into something else. And nowadays, there's no doubt that some practitioners use them that way, but that's not the kind of poppet I make. So I'm making two, one for Ian's sister and one for my granddaughter. And so I have a yellow one here, which is the one I'm making for Ian's sister. And the reason I chose yellow is because the Mercury being is who asked me to make this poppet to start with. When we had that encounter with him a couple weeks ago, and he was very upset about something potentially happening that was going to affect us and trying to warn us about it. And so he asked me, after he told me what he could about that, if I would construct a poppet for him to use to help Ian's sister. And of course, you know that one of her problems is she's psychotic. She's got a lot of mental health issues. And we had gone through a bunch of Earthstone beings, and none of them could help her. But they sent us to the Mercury sphere, and that being agreed to assist. And we did that full on evocation for about 2 hours, like a month and a half ago now, I think. So these things take time to manifest. Um, so anyway, so I'm making the two poppets, and basically this is a piece of cotton fabric that I picked up at Walmart, like 94 cents or something like that for I think it's a 20-inch square. And they have all these different colors, so you can get any color you want. And I got this one here, which doesn't show up as the dark purple that it is. I'm not sure why. Our camera doesn't like purple. But this is a purple, and I have this for my granddaughter. And she's going through her own issues right now, health issues and so forth. So I figured both of them need about the same kind of assistance, so why not do them both at the same time? So, constructing this, you're just going to cut it, two pieces in that shape. You're going to stitch the sides together, and then you're going to turn it inside out so that you have, it's not going to completely unravel, although it's not essential to do that. I do that just because. And you have to leave the head open for the stuffing of the material that you're going to put in the poppet, because although on its own like this, it's definitely got some bit of a charge. I've picked plants, and I have stones and things I'm going to add to it. And yeah, so leave the head open, which is why I made it bigger, because when I make them smaller, then the head is small, and then I have to use that pencil to like jam the material into the legs and the arms and stuff. It makes it kind of difficult. So we have these two poppets to make today, and this is a Thursday. I don't know that that matters, but it's a Thursday. And I've done healing poppets before. You can do these for yourself. You don't have to do them for someone else. If you're going through something in particular, a health issue or some other kind of support that you need, psychic assistance or protection or whatever, your imagination is really the only thing that will limit you when it comes to this. But I have to decide when I'm making them, what it's for, number one, and what am I going to put in it, number two, which requires a certain amount of research. first there's like all the stuff I have in my garden. So I started researching the stuff I have in my garden, and I started writing down why I'm putting them in there. And so I have myself a notebook of all these things. And I decided on delphinium, which is a dreamer's heart and transcends space and time, openness or oneness and new opportunities, openness and new opportunities, feelings and emotions, divine protection, wards off ghosts. I'll go through these as I put them in. I have yarrow from my garden, peppermint and spearmint, which have similar properties, lemon balm, rosemary, sage, and lavender. Lavender was a specific request from the Mercury being, and so I'm putting that in there. And juniper. I found a juniper tree near where my office is, and I decided that that would be, it just seemed like it would be something good to add. And since we did the evocation, and we know that juniper wood is part of the Mercury incense, it seemed completely appropriate for me to use Jupiter, especially in the one with the Mercury being, because that's going to add sort of affiliation or whatever to that sphere. And also, though, it's just generally good for protection and whatnot. Yeah. So then I went to my local rock store and went crazy. So I have a bag of rocks that I picked up. And they were like, $1 each, but I ended up with $25 worth of rocks that I'm putting in the poppets. Some of them I'm going to keep on my own. So then I had to, do some research on those as well. But I think this is plenty of crystal and stone assistance for the energetic stuff. And I'm not going to look for any more rocks at this point. It's like, okay, we've got the stones. So I brought along also my clippers, which I clipped everything with because this stuff is raw green at the moment. And so, yeah. And the one that I made for a friend of mine, I made for her former stepfather, and he was really, really sick. And, doing long distance healing, it takes a different kind of time and effort on my part. And making a poppet, I can make it, put it aside, and it'll just keep on working. It's just like, just keeps on, keeping on, doing its thing. And he's doing great, even though doctors weren't so positive about his chances of recovery. They were pretty slim. And so it's nice to know that something we did probably helped. That's the way these things work, right? So anyway, and I did a bunch of research on the stones because didn't lose. I cannot find my notebook that I put together with all of the stones and I did research on in it. So I had to do some quick research on the internet to refresh my memory and figure out what my mind is going to be thinking of when I put them in. But anyway, so that's how that works. So I start off, let me see which plants I want to put in first. I think I'm probably going to do the rosemary and the sage first, just because I have so much of that to start with, and that makes a good bottom. And I have so much rosemary. Let's see. This is just a tiny bit of the rosemary that I picked from my garden. This is the stuff that was outside of the fence. It's sort of sticking out going, I just went along and just clip the stuff outside the fence. And so, all of these things are incredibly fragrant, of course. And everybody is having difficulty with how their mind works, both of them. And so the smell from rosemary is very stimulating to the brain, and it helps with memory and so forth. It's also protective, is a psychic protector, and it's supposed to help with self-love. And one of the problems with people who have addictions or mental health issues of all kinds is that feeling that there's something wrong with them, that they don't deserve to be okay. So I think self-love is important. And it also strengthens their willpower. And willpower, of course, is vital if you're getting off an addictive substance, whether it's chemical like, well, meth or what have you, or alcohol. No matter what kind of a addiction it is, there's always some kind of a component like that. And so this helps with the willpower to keep people off of things. So I think it's a good one to use. And I think that this is, I'm going to stuff my legs, I think, with the rosemary. Give them a good foundation for that. That's when you get tricky, trying to get it in into the bottom of things. But it smells so good while you're doing it. That's a lovely smell. And sometimes you need like a little help with the pushing part. So there's more of this. Gives you an idea of the process here and exactly how it functions. So while I'm stuffing the legs with the rosemary, I'm thinking about those properties that I mentioned, because I want the plant intelligence to know what it is that I'm hoping it can help with and work with. And of course, rosemary has some wonderful volatile oils. Makes a really nice oil that you can make yourself. Seems like Thursday is just a nice day, being Jupiter's day. But any day will do. They all have their good qualities. And when you're done actually making the poppet and getting all those things in there, after you stitch it together, stitch the head together and whatnot, then what I like to do is write the name and the birth date of the person this is for. So there's no question, the universe doesn't wonder, who did you make this poppet for, by the way? And then I don't forget who I made this poppet for, which is much more likely a thing. Because, you know, I do a lot of stuff, and sometimes I look at things and go like, what was that? Why did I make that? So I'll make just the one for the video, then I'll make the other one when I'm done, but you'll definitely get the idea from the one. It's sort of amazing to me how many crafts there are that are involved in Magick. It's very craft oriented, for sure. But it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the thing. It's like, it can be crafty, but it doesn't have to be like sellable, as it were. Don't have to worry about what people think of it. Spirits and whatnot don't care about the exact look of the thing. A little bit more in there. A little more on that side. So if you're going to make one of these for yourself, first you have to decide what it is that you need support in, whether you're trying to get better personal boundaries, get physical healing, emotional healing if you're working with childhood trauma issues or abuse issues, whether you're a child or were a child or an adult. I think something just crawled on me. Okay. Or maybe a spirit went. There's something else, and there's nothing there. Alright, I guess I got a visitor. See what's going on. If you guys see anything visiting me, let me know. Since I'm busy with this, it'll be interesting. Sometimes in my office when I'm working on people, I keep brushing my face because it feels like there's wings on my face, feathers on my face. And I blame it on angels and their feathers. I have an angel that likes to visit me in my office sometimes and work on certain people. Never know exactly when that's going to happen or who he, she, it wants to be involved with, but all of a sudden it'll be going like this, like, the heck is that on my face? So the bigger you make it, the more material you need to put in it, obviously. Okay, who needs this? Hard to tell. It's going to be a very nice smelling poppet, though. I like all the plants that are in my garden. Be really interesting. See how she responds to this, or if we ever find out. Sometimes you never know. You just do things and you do what you can and move on. Okay, so this is something. All right. So I have the legs. They're kind of full enough. And then I'm gonna put the majority of the other stuff in. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to put in some sage next because it's the other very fragrant herb. Sage brings wisdom, good luck, prosperity, redemption, cleansing, and longevity. Builds emotional strength and protection, which is what I want it to focus on. See, I have some flowers on my sage, which is pretty cool. That I'm going to need this for because this is not as easily broken. Again, a nice fragrant smell. I have so much sage in my garden. Okay, so emotional strength and protection for sister. Alright, so I think I'm going to put some juniper in there. So I ended up with this nice juniper. got some berries on it and everything, so it's pretty awesome. Put some of this in there. And the juniper is cleansing, helps remove evil spirits, which could be influencing the parties involved. Related to Mercury. Protects against diseases and attracts good luck. And certainly when you're trying to recover from something, especially in her case, she's homeless, she's going to need a certain amount of good luck in order to get to the places that she needs to be in order to receive the help that she needs. And if she is being influenced by some kind of a negative spirit, at the least we know she's got all kinds of strange dark attachments and larvae from her addiction and thought forms and the paranoid delusions that she has that have created kind of like a wall around her. So I'm thinking that this is one of those things that'll help clear some of that stuff out. So then I think I put both the lemon balm and the mint in the same bag. Because they're in the same family, even though they're somewhat different as far as their properties are concerned. Lemon balm helps to strengthen memory and chase away melancholy, which certainly someone who's going through a crisis is going to have. Makes the heart merry and helps to treat depression, anxiety, and insomnia, and calms the spirit. And it's healing and protection and sacred to the goddess Artemis, who is sort of a, children and people who are ill seem to be under her purview. And lemon balm is the plant that alchemists use to make the universal medicine. That's kind of the basis for the elixir for life. And then the mint, peppermint and whatnot, is associated with air and Mercury again. So I have another Mercury association here. And it's cleansing and healing, protection again, release, because you have to be able to let go of things. You can't get better if you can't let go of things. Renewal, exorcism to help the juniper to get rid of negative spirits, transformation in order to facilitate that complete change in mental perception, mental clarity. Then it attracts good spirits. So we've got the juniper getting rid of bad, negative spirits, and we've got the peppermint and spearmint attracting the good spirits, and it energizes and sharpens the thought, so it helps people to think better. So that and the lemon balm together. It smells like lemon balm. Get some of the mint. There we go. Here's the peppermint. Okay. So this one and this one. Put that in there. And then the lavender. Oh, where's my Yarrow? Looks like I'm going to have to find my Yarrow and add that in later after I show you the rest of this. Because apparently I missed my thing of Yarrow. Then I'm going to put lavender in here. So I have a couple of different types of lavender. Put in some of the flowers. Okay, so I had to go in the house and get my Yarrow and delphinium because apparently I forgot it. So Ian will have cropped it up to here. And alright, so the Yarrow is another thing that helps to exorcise. This is the Yarrow from my yard. I don't have a whole bunch of it, but I don't need a bunch of it, right? I have some dried stuff from last year. Somehow when I cut the Yarrow and the delphinium, the Yarrow made the mistake of putting it in a plastic bag, and the bag got shut, and then it like got moist, and then it had to be thrown out. It was really nasty. So don't do that. I guess that's not a good thing. So Yarrow is another one for exorcising evil and negativity, and it is associated with Hermes, Mercury, and so we have another thing in here for the planetary association with the being, especially for this poppet. And cleanses the aura, strengthens the system, general protection for personal energy field. And since she's out there all by herself, you know, homeless and stuff, seems like a good idea. Helps to focus the mind, increases psychic connection, and prevents unhelpful spirits from entering. So again, it is like keeping negative beings away and helping keep positive spirits and beings in. So, and it also apparently intensifies the properties of other plants. So it's kind of an intensifier. Seems like a good thing. Then I have some delphinium that I grew, and the first batch that I picked disappeared. So I had to get what was left out in my yard. And delphinium is kind of interesting. Has a strong bond of love. It's called Dreamer's Heart. It transcends space and time, so Akashic. Openness to new opportunities, which is definitely something that they need. You cannot change, you cannot heal, you cannot let go of things if you're not open to new things. Apparently I'm dropping them, so let me do this so they don't lose more delphiniums. Feelings and emotions, new opportunities, new feelings and new emotions. So being able to see the world in a different way, in a new way. Divine protection, and it wards off ghosts and banishes negative energy. So apparently there's a lot of stuff in our garden that can do that. It's kind of interesting. I keep dropping little pieces of delphinium here. I'm going to put that in there for that. So this is basically the plants that I'm using. I have a little bit of space left in here. As you can see, I'm up to about here though. I haven't done the arms. I'll probably fill the arms with rosemary like I did the legs, just to give it that solid protection on the outside and so forth. But before I do that, I want to add the crystals into the center, into this section, because it gives me the most amount of room to do that with. So let's see what I have for crystals. And so here's my bag of crystals. Some were spontaneous, some were what was at hand. You know, it's like you work with what you have, or make do with what you have, or find what you need, or whatever. This is a bag of citrine, actual citrine, not the kind that is heat-treated amethyst. I'll put that aside right now. So I have a really nice little amethyst right here. It's a nice dark purple. You can't necessarily see how nice and purple that is. But amethyst is a natural tranquilizer. It relieves stress and strain. It balances mood swings. So You know, people that are having bipolar, paranoid delusional, schizoaffective disorder, uh, you know, whatever, that kind of thing, coming off of a drug. We have a lot of mood swings. Dispels anger and rage, which is one of the things get them in trouble. It sort of brings a sense of inner peace and healing, guards against psychic attack. So again, we have another protective thing with the plants, and encourages sobriety. The reason this encourages sobriety is because traditionally it was used to get rid of drunkenness. People would drink out of a goblet made from an amethyst and expect not to get drunk from it. So the idea of clarity of mind is pretty clear in the entire history of the stone. So I'm adding that to this. See if I can go by order of the stuff I wrote down. Little things tickling my face and my ears and all over the place. Okay, so this is a bag of citrine. Apparently she tied up that bag pretty well. So citrine is protection again. There's a lot of protective stones out there. Yeah, this is a nice little piece here. This one's a very colorful piece. I think I like the bigger piece better. That one's a little point. I'm going to go with my the first one that came to hand. So this is a nice piece of citrine. It's kind of pale looking because it is pale looking. Natural citrine is not orangey like the stuff that they use heat treated amethysts for. So protection, strength, stability, moderation. And moderation is certainly something that someone who has an addiction is not familiar with and might need help with understanding. Good for digestion, for the people who are having trouble eating. You know, usually when you're on an addictive substance, your food intake is sporadic at best. Success and comfort. It brings in joy, wonder, delight, and enthusiasm. So if someone can bring themselves to get started on that path to wellness, it will help with that. It raises the self-esteem and self-confidence, which is very important when you're trying to change your life, because a lot of times people get stuck in blaming themselves for who they are and where they're at, and have feelings of, you know, lack of self-worth and so forth. So definitely raising self-esteem seems like a good thing to focus on. Oh, there it is. I lost it. And it helps to release negative traits, depression, fears, and phobias. And we know that Ian's sister has got a lot of fears and phobias. So it seems like a really good stone for that. So we're going to add that to this center here. So the next one, get some of these out so I don't have to go finding them. A nice chunk of selenite, which I saw. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta have one of those. I found a tiger's eye, angel light. I don't know. I think that might be the topaz. Okay, here's a piece of turquoise. Not as bright as some. And a Larimar. Carnelian again. Maybe that's the raw sapphire. think that's actually the raw sapphire. I don't think I got any topaz. I think I thought I got topaz, but didn't. Oops. Well, that's the raw sapphire. I did get some topaz. Okay. There's some topaz. Alrighty then. I have all my rocks out, so I don't have to keep finding them. So that works. Okay, so turquoise. Piece of turquoise. Purification. Dispels negativity. Stabilizes mood swings, instills inner calm. Definitely need that. Sapphire, called the Wisdom Stone, releases mental tension, depression, unwanted thoughts, and spiritual confusion. Seems, pretty right on for this condition. Brings serenity and peace of mind and facilitates self-expression and assists in communication. Very difficult to find help if you can't communicate what your needs are. Larimar, a small little piece of Larimar. I have a nice big chunk, like a blue, a pale blue kind of stone. I don't know if anyone can actually see that very well, but it looks a little bit like that. Helps in removing self-imposed blockages and constraints. And that's probably one of the things that keeps us from moving forward more than anything. We put these blockages and constraints on ourselves. Assists us in taking control by dissolving self-sabotaging behavior, alleviating guilt and fear. Another thing that's important for recovery. Calms the mind, bestows inner peace, and it helps a person embrace love and joy. Because, if you get well and you have nothing to look forward to and you don't feel any better, what's the point, right? Put that in there. Then I got a piece of carnelian, a really nice piece. I like this. It's a nice bead. So carnelian restores vitality and motivation. And that is the thing. It's like when you're really down energetically speaking and so forth, and you've been in a bad place for a long time, it's very difficult to become motivated to do anything. And certainly the energy to be able to succeed is important. Stimulates creativity. So it gives people something to do, something that they might like to do in order to focus their mind and thoughts elsewhere. Gives courage, promotes positive life choices, which certainly is important. Dispels apathy. So that feeling that there's nothing to do and there's no point in doing anything goes away. Helps in overcoming abuse. So I think the effects of abuse on a person or the ability to leave an abusive situation overcomes negative conditioning. Again, we've got that self-worth kind of thing going on. Calms anger, banishes emotional negativity. So sounds like good things for that stone to be focusing on. And I have a piece of angel light, because angel light is just a lovely stone and helps you to connect with things. It facilitates contact with your angels and spirit guides. Helps you speak your truth. And, if you don't know what your truth is, you have to know what your truth is before you can speak it. But even if you know what your truth is, being able to get the words out or say it and feel empowered to do so is an important thing. So it also helps promote communication and self-expression, dispels fear, anxiety, and anger, brings in peace and tranquility, which you'll definitely need, and stimulates healing. So that's your job. All right. So this is a piece of silver sheen obsidian, which is a nice form of obsidian. And this is a strong connection to earth. So this helps with grounding. increases the willpower, so it allows somebody to follow through on what they're trying to do. It brings a sense of inner and intense calm, and encourages healthy change. So another good stone for the purpose. Then I found a nice piece of tiger eye. I thought, yeah, that's a nice piece of tiger eye. I know you can't see it very well, but trust me, it's a nice piece of tiger eye. And although the books don't say much, the ones I was looking at anyway didn't say much about tiger eye except protection and good luck. I certainly use tiger eye myself in order to repel negative energy away from me and control my own energy and so forth. So protection against the evil eye, protection against negative energy from other people, and so forth. So that's another one. And so this is a nice piece of selenite. And again, the place I was looking at didn't say too much. It just says clarity of mind, calming, clears confusion. And certainly it does that. But, you know, the way we've been using it, we're definitely focusing on a representation of the universal life force, light energy that's there. And so when I put this into the poppet, the purpose of that is to imbue the person that I'm making this for with that connection with the universal life force and universal energy and so forth for healing mind, body, soul. I'll put that in there. And then the piece of topaz, which I didn't think I had, but apparently did, and wrote down even. So good for me. Topaz promotes truth and forgiveness, brings joy, generosity, abundance, and good health. So we have another good health thing going on here. And promotes self-realization and self-control. So we'll put that in there. So now we have all of our stones in the middle, and I'll just fill it up with rosemary and sage, rosemary in the arms and sage on top, just to kind of seal it down, and then put some rosemary up in here. And then after I get it completely filled, then all you have to do is go through and fold the edges around the head like so, and then just sort of stitch it shut, and then that part is completely finished. Then after that, like I said, you're going to write the name and birth date of the person on the outside of this. You can do it on a piece of paper and pin it on or stitch it on. You can do it on another piece of fabric and write it on and put it on. You can just use a felt tip pen and put it on the fabric. And then I shall put this on my altar and let it do its job. I use the earth altar for my poppets because body, you know, all that stuff, the earth, the zone that we're in, and healing and stuff like that seems appropriate for my earth altar. So that's how you make a poppet. And if you have any questions, of course, let me know. We can talk about it, answer any questions you might come up with. Just like everything else that we do, you can fine tune it to whatever your specific needs might be. You can make it any size and shape you want to. If you're going to do an animal, you can make it just sort of a general shape, like a rectangle or something, and you can either draw a picture of the animal, put a picture of the animal on the outside. You know, if you've got a photo of the animal, you can put it up there and put its name on it. So you can make these for people, animals, yourself, general purposes. So it's really the only limitation you have is your own imagination and your willingness to do research and find rocks, in my case. So until I see you guys again, I hope you're having a good week. We're recovering from at least one of the incidents that Mercury being was warning us about, and certainly there are still ripples going out from it that happened. I'm feeling a lot better and feeling a little bit more in charge of what's going on around me, which is good. So, blessed be everybody. This is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan.